I was never the kind of person who expected life-altering moments to happen in the middle of an ordinary Tuesday evening. But that's exactly how it happened. I remember the sound of the ceiling fan more than anything else, the monotonous spinning that filled the silence as my father sat across from me at the dining table. His eyes were colder than I'd ever seen them, and a strange tension wrapped itself around the house like an invisible hand tightening its grip. My father, Robert Caldwell, had always been the center of our family, the kind of man who made decisions quickly and never second-guessed himself. Growing up, I saw that decisiveness as strength. Later, I realized it was just another word for control. He wasn't violent or abusive, but his words carried weight, and his expectations were unshakable. If you wanted something, you did it. That was the unspoken family rule. But that night felt different even before he opened his mouth. The table was set with leftovers Mom had reheated. She kept adjusting her glasses, fidgeting with the corner of her apron, as if she could sense something coming. My younger sister, Lily, scrolled on her phone with the distracted carelessness only a 17-year-old could manage. Everything looked normal, but my father's posture told another story. Straight back, locked jaw, steepled fingers. "Alex," he said finally, his voice steady. "I need to talk to you about something important." The words were calm, but the air around them wasn't. I nodded, not trusting my voice yet. I was 24, working as a freelance designer, and had recently told my family I planned to move into a new apartment with my best friend. It wasn't an extravagant plan, but Dad had acted like I'd confessed to a crime. At first, I thought tonight's conversation would be another lecture about responsibility, loyalty, or family priorities. I wasn't even close. Dad inhaled deeply, then pushed a blue envelope across the table. Its edges were crisp, clean, almost ceremonial. I watched it slide toward me with a kind of hesitant dread. "I want you to take over the family property," he said. "The land up north. I need you to commit to it. Not visit. Not oversee. Live there. Manage it full-time." The world seemed to tilt. The property he was referring to was a remote piece of land, 40 acres of fields, a rundown farmhouse, and a small lumber operation our grandfather had started decades ago. Dad had always wanted one of us to take over, but I assumed he'd eventually sell it when no one agreed. It was old, isolated, and barely profitable. "Dad," I started, trying to swallow the lump forming in my throat. "I don't want to run the land. I never have. You know that." His expression didn't change. If anything, it hardened. "I'm not asking if you want to," he said. "I'm telling you what needs to be done." The words slammed into me with a force I wasn't prepared for. He had always been firm, but this was something else. Something final. Mom reached for his arm, a silent plea. "Robert, maybe we should discuss." "No," he cut her off sharply. "This is a family matter. A serious one. And Alex is the only one capable of doing it." Lily finally looked up from her phone. "Why can't you hire someone?" she asked, her voice small but sharp. Dad sighed, running a hand down his face. "Because it's not just land. It's legacy. Responsibility. It's ours. And someone from the family has to carry it forward." I stared at the envelope. "What is this?" "Legal documents," Dad said. "Transfer agreements. Financial planning. Everything you need. I've already prepared the first steps. I just need your signature." "Already prepared." Something inside me twisted in anger. "You planned all this without asking me?" I asked. His eyes bored into mine. "Because I knew you'd resist." The room fell into an icy silence. I couldn't look at him. Couldn't understand how he thought this was acceptable. It felt like he was carving my life into a shape that suited his vision, not mine. My chest tightened as I pushed the envelope back. "I'm not signing anything." His jaw tensed. "Think carefully." I have thought carefully. My whole life, actually. And I'm not living alone in some half-broken house in the middle of nowhere to manage something I don't care about. Dad stood abruptly, the chair scraping the floor. The sound felt like a blade slicing the air. "You will," he said, voice low with a dangerous calm. "Because if you don't, there will be consequences." The words didn't sound like a father speaking to his son. They sounded like a threat. "Consequences?" I repeated. "Like what?" He didn't answer immediately. Instead, he walked over to a cabinet, retrieved another folder, and tossed it onto the table. Papers spilled out. Copies of my college loan arrangements, documents linked to a trust, insurance policies, and financial agreements I barely recognized. "I've supported you your entire life," he said quietly. "Your education, your expenses, your safety net. If you refuse to step up when the family needs you, I will withdraw every ounce of support I've ever given. Completely. My stomach dropped. Mom's hand flew to her mouth. Robert, you can't. I can, he said. And I will. Lily looked horrified. Dad, this is insane. But he didn't flinch. His eyes stayed locked on me. You want independence, Alex? You'll have it. All of it. No help. No coverage. No fallback. You'll be entirely on your own. The air thickened until it felt impossible to breathe. You're forcing me, I whispered. I'm giving you a choice, he replied. One that affects our family's future. A choice. I almost laughed at the absurdity of it. I pushed my chair back and got to my feet. My hands were shaking, anger, disbelief, betrayal. If this is what family means to you, then maybe I don't want to be part of this family anymore. Mom gasped. Lily stared at me with wide, terrified eyes. Dad didn't even blink. Then walk away. But understand something, Alex. If you leave tonight, you don't come back. The silence that followed felt like the universe pausing. Mom whispered my name, voice cracking. Lily's eyes filled with tears. But my father stood like a stone pillar, unmoved, unwavering. A shocking demand. A threat disguised as responsibility. A line drawn so sharply it cut everything in its path. I grabbed my jacket, my chest burning with a mixture of fear and fury. I'm done being controlled, I said quietly. And I walked out the door. Not knowing that my father's demand was only the beginning. Not knowing that refusing it would unravel truths about our family none of us were ready to face. Not knowing it would change everything, forever. The night I walked out of my parents' house, the air felt colder than it should have. Not the kind of cold that numbs your skin. This was the kind that settles into your bones and whispers that something irreversible has happened. I stood on the driveway for a long moment, staring at the house I'd lived in my whole life. I expected the door to open. I expected my mother to rush after me, or my sister to call my name. I even expected my father to shout something, an order, a threat, anything. But the house stayed completely silent. No flicker of light. No movement behind the curtains. Just silence pressing against my ears like a weight. I finally walked to my car, each step heavy with disbelief. My father's words replayed in my mind with brutal clarity. His demand, his threat, his ultimatum. It felt unreal. It felt like I had stepped into a version of my life where everything was suddenly upside down. When I reached the apartment I was supposed to move into next month, my best friend Ethan answered the door wearing pajama pants and holding a bowl of cereal. He blinked at me, taking in my backpack and the hastily stuffed clothes sticking out of it. Dude, he said slowly. Are you homeless now? Not funny, I muttered, stepping inside. He set his bowl down and shut the door behind me. Okay. What happened? You look like you just walked away from an explosion. I sat on the couch and told him everything. Every detail from the moment my father slid that blue envelope toward me to the moment he told me that if I walked out, I shouldn't come back. Ethan listened with growing disbelief, his eyebrows climbing higher with each sentence. So let me get this straight, he said when I finished. He wants you to run some abandoned piece of farmland he hasn't touched in years. Or he's cutting you off. Pretty much. And he actually had legal documents ready? Like he planned this ambush. Yep. Ethan stared at me for a long moment, then shook his head. Man, your dad needs therapy. Or a hobby. Or both. I let out a humorless laugh, then leaned back and closed my eyes. The numbness that had carried me through the night started to dissolve, replaced by a tightness in my chest. Everything felt wrong. Everything felt like it was shifting too fast for me to understand. The next morning, I woke up to 20 missed messages, 10 from my mother, 10 from Lily. Not a single one from my father. My mother's messages were frantic and filled with guilt. She begged me to come home, insisted that things could be fixed, pleaded for me not to make any impulsive decisions. Her words were frantic, shaky, almost panicked. Lily's messages were blunt and honest in the way only she could manage. Dad's being insane. He won't talk about you. He locked himself in the office. Please tell me you're okay. Please don't sign anything. I texted them both that I was safe and staying with Ethan. Then I waited, half expecting my father to call. He didn't. Not that morning. Not that afternoon. Not even that night. My mother, however, did call. The moment I answered, her voice cracked. Alex, sweetheart, how are you? I'm fine, I lied. No, you're not. None of us are. Her tone was so heavy it instantly put me on edge. What's going on? I asked. There was a pause before she answered. Your father, he's always been controlling. But this time he crossed a line. And I think he knows it. Mom, he threatened to cut me off financially. That's not just crossing a line. That's jumping off a cliff. I know, she whispered. But listen to me carefully. There are things your father hasn't told you about the land. About the business. About our family. My breath caught. What do you mean? He didn't tell you because he wanted to handle everything alone. He thinks he's protecting us. But the truth is, she hesitated again, like she was afraid of saying too much. He's hiding things. Serious things. Mom, I said firmly. What kind of things? Before she could answer, a door opened loudly behind her and heavy footsteps approached. Her voice instantly tightened. I have to go, she whispered. Just promise me something. What? Don't sign anything. And don't go to the property. Not yet. Mom, wait, what is happening? But she hung up before I could say more. I stared at my phone, my pulse pounding. Her words spun through my head like a warning I couldn't fully decode. Something was very wrong, and for the first time, I wondered if my father's demand wasn't just about control, but desperation. The next morning, everything escalated. I woke up to a message from my father. A single line. Your access to all family accounts has been revoked. Just like that, no explanation, no attempt to talk, no concern for how I would manage. Ethan, reading over my shoulder, let out an incredulous laugh. He really did it. Damn. I didn't respond. I felt hollow, like something inside me had cracked open. Then my mother messaged me again. Stay away from the land. Please. It's not safe. Not safe. Those words sat in my mind like a stone. I typed back, Mom, why? What's going on? But before I could press send, Lily called, her voice trembling. You need to come home, she whispered urgently. Not to stay, just to hear what's going on. It's bad, Alex. Really bad. What kind of bad? I asked, panic rising. She spoke fast, like the words were spilling out uncontrollably. Mom and Dad have been fighting nonstop. Dad keeps yelling about money and debts and some deal he made and... A loud crash sounded behind her. I heard my father yell something I couldn't make out. Lily, I said sharply. Lily, what's happening? She lowered her voice to a whisper. There's something wrong with the land, Alex. Something Dad didn't tell us. And if you don't take responsibility for it, someone dangerous will. My blood ran cold. What do you mean dangerous? Who? But she didn't answer. Lily, she said one final, shaky sentence before hanging up. Dad's terrified of something, and he's dragging you into it. The call ended. I stared at my phone with a sinking feeling in my chest. Whatever this was, it wasn't just a family dispute anymore. It wasn't about a farm or a legacy or control. It was much, much bigger. And I was already caught in the middle of it. The moment Lily hung up, I felt something inside me snap into place. The fear, the confusion, the anger, all merging into a single, burning resolve. I couldn't stay in the dark any longer. If my father was hiding something dangerous, if my mother was scared, if my sister was whispering like someone was watching her, then pretending to stay out of it wasn't an option. I grabbed my jacket and keys. Ethan looked up from the kitchen counter where he was making coffee. Where are you going? I need answers, I said, voice firm. I'm going home. That's a bad idea, he said immediately. Your dad is unhinged right now. You think he's suddenly going to sit down and talk calmly? No, I admitted. I'm not going for him. I was going for my mother. I was going for my sister. I was going because whatever was happening had already swallowed our family whole and was threatening to drag us deeper. Ethan set his mug down and grabbed his keys too. I'm coming with you. You don't have to. He cut me off. I'm coming. We drove in tense silence. The closer we got to my house, the heavier the air felt, almost like the atmosphere itself knew something was wrong. When we turned into my street, I saw my mother standing outside the house, arms wrapped around herself tightly. She looked like she had aged a decade in 2 days. Her eyes widened when she saw me, and she rushed forward. Oh, thank God, she breathed, cupping my face. Are you okay? Are you hurt? I'm fine. What's going on? She looked over her shoulder, lowering her voice. Your father is inside. He's furious. And he's not thinking straight. I need to talk to him. No, her grip tightened. Alex, listen to me. You need to know the truth before you go inside. The fear in her voice hit me harder than anything she'd said so far. Then tell me, I said quietly. All of it. She hesitated, like she was choosing between loyalty and survival. Then she said the words that changed everything. Your father owes money. A lot of money. And the land, it wasn't supposed to go to you. It was supposed to go to the people he owes. I froze. What? Her voice shook. He made a deal years ago, before you were even in high school. He borrowed money to keep the business running. He thought he could fix everything before anyone found out. But things kept getting worse. He kept borrowing more. And now the people he owes aren't willing to wait anymore. I stared at her, stunned. So he was trying to transfer the land to me. So they couldn't take it? She nodded painfully. If the land is legally yours, creditors can't touch it. He thought using you would buy him time. My stomach twisted. He wanted me to take the fall for him. He wanted to protect us, she whispered. In his own twisted way. That's not protection, I said, my voice breaking. That's dragging me into his mess. Ethan spoke up softly. Who does he owe money to? My mother's expression darkened. People you don't want to be involved with. People who don't threaten, they act. A chill ran through me. Is that why you keep telling me not to go to the property? Yes, she said. Because they've been there. What do you mean they've been there? She closed her eyes. They confronted your father a week ago. Told him they were giving him one last chance. Either he pays, or they take what he owes them. And if the land is in my name, they can't touch it, she finished. So your father panicked. He thought forcing you to sign quickly would stop them. Pieces of the puzzle crashed together in my head. My father's crushing pressure. His desperation. The way he shut himself in his office. The explosive anger when I refused. He wasn't just trying to control me. He was trying to save himself. But at what cost? Before I could say anything else, the front door flew open. My father stood in the doorway, eyes bloodshot, chest heaving. He saw me and his face contorted, relief, anger, fear, all tangled together. What are you doing here? He snapped. My mother stepped back instinctively. I came to talk, I said. No, he barked. You came to make things worse. Dad, just listen. I don't have time, he shouted. I told you what needed to be done. You walked out. You made everything worse. Everything was already worse. I fired back. You hid everything from us. From Mom. From Lily. From me. You wanted me to sign papers that would make me responsible for your debt. It's not that simple. It is exactly that simple. He clenched his fists. I did what I had to do to protect this family. No, I said quietly. You did what you had to do to protect yourself. His jaw tightened. I'm your father. You owe me respect. And you owe us honesty. For a moment, we just stared at each other. Two men standing on opposite sides of a broken bridge. Then something in his expression shifted, softened. But before he could speak, a car pulled onto the street, a black SUV with tinted windows. It slowed as it approached our house. My mother paled. Oh God! My father stiffened completely, all color draining from his face. Get inside. Now. Who is that? Ethan whispered. The people I told you about, my mother said, voice trembling. The SUV parked across from our driveway. Three men stepped out, clean-cut, expressionless, dressed in dark clothes that looked too expensive and too deliberate. They weren't here for a chat. One of them looked straight at my father. Mr. Caldwell, he said. We warned you time was running out. My father stepped forward slowly, hands raised. Please. I just need a few more days. No more days, the man said coldly. Your deadline is over. My heartbeat thundered in my ears. Ethan whispered. Alex, we need to get your family inside. Right now. But the man's gaze shifted from my father to me. And this, he said, must be your son. The one you were trying to transfer the land to. My blood froze. My father stepped in front of me immediately. He has nothing to do with this. The man shook his head. He has everything to do with this now. Fear surged through me so violently I could barely breathe. And in that moment, standing on my front lawn under the shadow of a black SUV, I realized the truth. My father's shocking demand wasn't the problem. It was the warning he never gave us. And we were already out of time. The man's eyes stayed locked on me, sharp and assessing, like he was measuring exactly how much trouble I'd be. My father stood rigid in front of me, his shoulders squared with a desperation I had never seen in him before. Not anger. Not control. Fear. Real bone-deep fear. Leave him out of this, my father said, voice trembling despite how hard he tried to hide it. This is between us. The man gave a slow shake of his head. It became about your son the moment you tried to hide your only viable asset behind his name. My stomach twisted. I whispered to my mother, get inside. Take Lily. She grabbed my arm. Alex, don't. It's okay, I lied. Nothing about this was okay. My father took a step toward the men. You said you'd give me time. And you used that time, the man said calmly. Poorly. Another stepped forward, a taller man, more imposing, with the kind of gaze that cut straight through you. We're not here to make a scene. We're here for what we're owed. We don't have it, my father said, the truth spilling out like a surrender. We know. The man smiled slightly. That smile froze the air around us. My mother pulled Lily behind her. Ethan hovered near me, tense and ready to jump in even though he knew he had no chance of winning any fight against them. The taller man's gaze drifted back to me. You're the son. I swallowed hard. Yes. You're the one who refused to take the land. I nodded. Smart, he said. But not smart enough. My father snapped. Leave him alone. He's a child. I'm 20, I muttered automatically. The man smirked. Old enough. And it doesn't matter. You put him in the middle the moment you tried to transfer ownership. I didn't sign anything, I said. Yes, he replied. That's a problem. My father turned to me, eyes wide. Alex, go inside. No, the man said sharply. He stays. My father spun toward him. Please. He doesn't know anything. He had nothing to do with this. The taller man stepped close until he was inches from my father's face. His voice lowered to a quiet, deadly tone. That's where you're wrong. He has everything to do with this now. My chest tightened. I felt my mother's hand grip my shoulder, trembling. Then the man addressed all of us. Your father owes us a significant amount of money. More than he could realistically repay in his lifetime. We offered him an arrangement. His eyes slid toward my father. And he attempted to cheat us by transferring the land into his son's name. A cute idea. Illegal, of course. And insulting. My father's voice cracked. I was trying to protect my family. By lying to us? The man replied, raising an eyebrow. By hiding our collateral? Collateral. Us. The land. Everything. The word echoed like thunder in my mind. My father sank to his knees. Actually sank. I had never seen him kneel to anyone. Please, he whispered, voice raw and defeated. Give me a chance to fix this. I'll find a way. There is no more fixing, the man said. Only consequences. I felt my mother dig her fingers into my arm. Lily was crying silently behind her. Ethan muttered a curse under his breath. I stepped forward before I even realized what I was doing. What do you want from us? Everyone looked at me. My father's horrified whisper cut the air. Alex, no. The man studied me like he was deciding my value. We want repayment. Something your father cannot provide. So you're here to take the land? I asked. He tilted his head. If the land were solely in your father's name, yes. But if it becomes yours or stays pending, it complicates things. So what does that mean? I demanded. The man gave me a thin smile. It means we need his cooperation. Complete cooperation. And yours if he refuses. My mother gasped. No. My father surged to his feet. You touch him and I swear. The man held up a hand. Relax. No one is touching your son. Relief washed through me, but only for a second. He continued. But he will help settle your debt. My heart slammed against my ribs. How? The man stepped closer until he was standing right in front of me. By signing over the land. My mouth went dry. No. You don't even know what you're refusing. I'm not getting involved in something illegal. He smiled again. Cold. Amused. Son, you're already involved. Your father made sure of that. My father lunged forward. Leave him out of it. The man didn't flinch. You can't protect him anymore. That's the point. That's why we're here. I stepped back, heart pounding. Even if I sign, what happens to my family? That depends on your father, he replied smoothly. And how well he complies after that. My mother whispered. Please, please don't do this. But then the man leaned in. His voice dropped low just for me. If you don't sign, someone else will suffer. Someone younger. Someone who didn't walk away. Lily. My blood ran cold. I clenched my fists. This isn't fair. No, he agreed. It isn't. My father grabbed my shoulders, eyes wild. Don't do this. Don't you dare. I made the mess. I'll fix it. You're not signing anything. I won't let them hurt her, I whispered. They won't, he insisted. They want the land. Not us. That's not what they said. My father shut his eyes. He knew I was right. The man stepped back, giving us space. Decide. Now. My father turned to me, gripping my face like he was afraid I'd vanish. Alex, look at me. If you sign, you lose everything. They'll take the land and any leverage we ever had. If I don't sign, I said, voice shaking, they take Lily. Tears filled his eyes. The strongest man I had ever known was breaking. My father whispered, I'm so sorry. I opened my mouth to reply. A voice cut through the air. You don't have to sign anything. We all turned. My sister stood in the doorway, shoulders squared, eyes blazing with a fire I'd never seen in her. What are you doing? I breathed. She walked toward us, slowly, deliberately. She wasn't scared. She was furious. Dad isn't the only one who knows the law, she said. And you, she pointed at the men, are trespassing. You've made threats. You've made demands. And everything you just said has been recorded. My mother gasped. Lily. She held up her phone. I called 911 5 minutes ago, she said. They're listening right now. The men froze. For the first time, their confidence cracked. Within seconds, distant sirens echoed through the neighborhood. The man nearest us glared at Lily. This isn't over. No, she said fiercely. It is. They retreated, silent, furious, defeated. They got in their SUV and drove away just as 2 police cars turned onto our street. My legs finally gave out. Ethan grabbed my arm. My mother hugged Lily like she would never let go. My father sank onto the curb, hands trembling. The danger wasn't gone. The debt wasn't gone. The secrets weren't gone. But for the first time, we weren't fighting each other. We were fighting together. And maybe, just maybe, that would change our family forever.